out. Go ahead, Nick. What did you think? I saw you waiting, and I saw you getting agitated while we were talking. What are your thoughts? And welcome. Nice seeing you.
You too. Well, you know, I was a little agitated, but only because I couldn't hear the content. So I don't know what you guys were talking about. And you and I, you know, I'm a bad texter, but I assume you brought me on. Talk about that Bronny James step back. Oh, is LeBron such a bad dad now? Oh, young kid, got his sea legs under him out here cooking. We don't want to talk about any other alleged GOAT's children on this show. I know that, but my goodness gracious, how are you guys? I don't know what else. It's basketball season.
I'm sorry.
Basketball season.
Sorry for your loss.
You've transitioned, huh? I mean,
but you know, oh, you want to talk about the Super Bowl? I mean, you guys are forward. You know, this is new media. It's Thursday. We're in the 2025 football season. But I suppose we could look back. Dan, I should have known this might happen, and I'm going to show you why. I'm going to reach behind me and hold up the thing I've always wanted my entire life, because I'm a child of the 80s. I respect physical print media.
Wow, a newspaper.
And days before the Super Bowl,
it's been a while.
This was in the Washington Post. You see that glorious picture right there? And if my life were a movie, that would have been the culmination of the montage of endless winning.
By the way, I need to tell people who didn't see the blur there that's a feature story on you, correct? In
a Louis Vuitton jacket?
That's you.
It's a feature story on me in a Louis Vuitton jacket that I bought from a guy in Copenhagen a year ago to wear to the Chiefs parade, about how. Listen, I don't. You guys can make fun of me all you want. I am an open book on this show. I think one of the reasons I come on this show, other than the fact that I love Dan, is I think it makes me more humanized. Now, do I occasionally imply to the audience I might have a little dispensable income to buy Louis Vuitton jackets from Europe or to gamble? Sure, but the audience gets it. I've deserved it. I've worked hard. Back to the story.
Yeah.
So, I've always wanted that. I've always wanted a newspaper article I can put in my office about me, and the Times, the Post, something. And the story was, the gist of it was, my career arc and a career theoretically taking off right alongside my hometown Chiefs team took off. It was almost too good to be true. And then it was. And now I have to deal with one of the worst Super Bowl performances of all time, which I can deal with. But what I am not as prepared to deal with as I shake in preemptive anger is folks that either just started watching football or total morons or just don't care about the truth, acting like, well, if a quarterback's that good, does he ever have that bad of a playoff game? And the answer is yes, every single one of them always. So I'm doing okay.
Before you came on, Tony was saying that because of the one-score game and 12-0, that the Chiefs could have easily been 5-12 this year.
Okay, yeah. I mean, listen, that's why Tony's on that side of the room. To not really pepper in those sports
come
takes.
on, Nick.
I mean, the thing is, like, I like Tony, but I'm just telling you, I agree that if you turned their wins into losses, their record would have been worse.
That's all I'm saying.
It's definitely
all right.
true.
So, but what is the explanation, though, Nick? Because I was saying if you keep playing that game, I think it's going to keep going that way. I don't think Mahomes forgot how to play football. I don't think Andy Reid and Spags became stupid. I think Spags stopped what the Eagles do best, and I didn't think that anybody could do that. And what happened after that is just you got mauled the way every team would get mauled if those were the discrepancies on both lines.
So here's the thing, though. Those discrepancies shouldn't have been that. It shouldn't have been that big of an edge. The Eagles in the Super Bowl 2 years ago had the most sacks of any team in 30 years, or since the late 80s, I should say. So more than that. The Eagles this year were middle of the pack in sacks, and the Chiefs, while they had an issue at left tackle, and so they slid their guard over to tackle, it's not like they were the worst offensive line in football. We went into the 2020 Super Bowl saying, oh man, you got 4 backups on the offensive line. That could go poorly, and it did. So I credit the Eagles players and game plan and execution. But to answer your question, it's why it went the way it did is a twofold reason that we actually oddly have, for both of the two reasons I'm about to give you, an exact one-to-one corollary for it. Which was, the first reason is a very, very simple one that not that smart people will say to try to sound really smart, which is, if you can get home with 4, you really can hurt the great quarterbacks. Like, no, man. Yep. We understand the math of the game. The idea always, imagine if you could get home with 1. You drop 10. Like, the fewer you have to send and still create the pressure, the better it is. And the other reason is, for the first time all year, the moment got too big for him. And that, to me, and that includes Patrick. And people can say, oh, well, that's disqualifying. But here's the one-to-one example. Both of those exact two things, to the letter, happened in the only other football game of my life, not Greg Cody's life because his team did it, of my life, where a team walked onto the field and knew, if we win today, we're the greatest team of all time. How did the 07 Patriots unstoppable team lose? The Giants got home with 4, and Brady got shaky, and they only scored 14 points. They walked into that game knowing, we win today, we're the greatest team of all time. How did the 2024 Chiefs lose? Eagles got home with 4, and the moment of, we walk off the field today with a win, we're not the greatest single-season team of all time, but we're the greatest team of all time, this three-peat, and the moment got too big for him. And so that is what it is. It's heartbreaking that they played their worst game in the biggest moment, but the Eagles deserve credit, and I'm glad you pointed out the thing about Spags. I feel like the only Chief, and I'm sure he doesn't, but person involved with the Chiefs that could sleep easy was Spagnuolo, who did do a great job at what everyone, myself included, thought the key to the game would be, which is, can you slow down Barkley? They didn't slow down Barkley. They shut down Barkley, and it didn't matter.
Nick, you said earlier that, some of the great quarterbacks of all time have had a bad playoff game. And you're right, for the most part. Mahomes has had 2 now, and he's done it in the Super Bowl. He was bad against Tampa. Yeah. He was bad against Philadelphia. Twice now, Nick.
But we remember, the Tampa game's not fair, right? Like, he was running in circles toward his own end zone.
He had a rating of 32.3 in the game.
But Stugotz,
okay, hold on. So let me respond to both of these. Stugotz, you care about his passer rating in this game because it wasn't that bad? Or are you going to say, no, I watched the game, I know he played terribly? Because that's what I would say. But the numbers, look at the numbers. So don't do that. Don't be like, for this game, the numbers don't matter. And for the Tampa game that we all saw, the numbers do matter, because that would be ludicrous. However, let's talk about it. Because you're right. So let's just say the Tampa game was a terrible game. And you said most quarterbacks have had terrible playoff games. No, all quarterbacks have had terrible playoff games. And we do this weird thing, and this oddly does somehow end up coming down to what all sports conversations come down to, which is the lionization of Michael Jordan's career has polluted how everyone views sports, which is why when Tom Brady was going for the three-peat, and he played terribly and threw a pick 6 to let the game get out of hand and lost to Jake Plummer, no one cares because it was in round 2. And Joe Montana, when in the smack dab middle of his career, 3 straight years in the playoffs, 3 straight one-and-dones, 3 straight playoff games with 0 touchdowns total, 3 straight playoff games where back-to-back playoff games where his team scored 3 points, 3 straight playoff games where they were outscored by a combined 102-40. We can all be like, man, Joe Cool never played poorly in the Super Bowl. Well, maybe he would have if he hadn't played so terribly that they got whacked 49-3 in round 1. And so what we're not going to do is act like if you play your worst game of the year to prevent you from getting to the Super Bowl, that's fine. But if you play really well to get there and then play poorly, that's different. That's ludicrous. That would mean it would have been better for Patrick this year had he choked against Josh Allen last round instead of outplayed him and beaten him for the 4th time in the playoffs. Intellectually, we all know that's true, that each round you win is better than losing in that round.
I'm glad we have what Michael Jordan thinks about this. I didn't think we'd get to that point soon enough. You're red-faced, Nick. You're red-faced, and you're annoying again, because you're not wrong in what you're saying, but you're coming on here and you've been so wrong about how that was all going to end, that I think people want to see you batted around the way that you were on your own show.
So here's the thing: how wrong I was compared to my contemporaries is actually the exact same logical argument. The question: am I more wrong for picking the Chiefs to make and win the Super Bowl than the folks, not naming names, but Rex Ryan and others, who said they were going to go one and done? Was I more wrong for having the wrong winner in the Super Bowl when I had the right team in it than Draymond Green, who said, I've seen teams like this, they get beat in the first round? So again, like, I get it, the stage gets bigger, the audience gets larger, so people have more eyes on it. And I've got to eat this one. And if people watch First Things First, 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern on FS1, you should check it out. Well, I literally had confetti cannon shot in my face on national television. Yes. I had the runner-up of American Idol sing in my ear, Tom Brady is the GOAT, and I took it like a champ. Because Monday is the day for me to have to eat it. Tuesday is the day for me to kind of have to eat it. Wednesday and Thursday are the days for me to once again take on the heavy burden of the only sane person in sports media and pump the brakes on all the this never would happen to Brady. Brady threw 3 picks in the wild card round when he was 32 years old to lose to Joe Flacco. 3 picks in the first quarter, 33-14. Sorry.
I mean, it was obvious what happened in the game, which was the refs made that really bad call on the first drive, the offensive pass interference, and everyone saw, oh my God, they're gonna do this again. They're gonna give the Chiefs a Super Bowl. So the call came from New York. Hey guys, we got to make sure now that the Eagles win this game because everyone's onto us. Right. We can't let them do it again. I mean, it's very obvious what happened there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, you guys didn't have Jessica's mic on. You just had a total doofus talking for a minute there. It must not have been wires.
I mean, the jig is up. We all know it's rigged, right? Like that's what happened. Mid game, they were like, we got to write a new script. We got to write a new script.
So here's the thing on that.
Oh no.
And now I'll just bring the mood of the room down.
Here we go.
I actually think engaging in any of that is tangibly bad for our business. So I don't even I think the reason we all get these awesome jobs and platforms and opportunities is because people credibly believe in the sport, and the fact that the players, the owner, the commissioner were all asked about this nonsense leading to the Super Bowl, I think was one of the true sour points of this NFL season. And again, if we like the iconic image of this football game is Patrick Mahomes getting 2 hands dead to the face from Jalen Carter, and it's on NFL.com right now as like, what a play. And so we all know there's missed calls in the NFL. It's a shame to me that the Dove Kleinmans of the world have created this as a legitimate talking point.
I need to let you go now, but I think you just called.
I got 5 minutes.
Well, did you call Jess bad for business? Did you call? Is that what you just did after?
It's obviously rigged. I've been saying it all season, Dan. This is something I certainly believe in. So thank you, Nick, for really explaining to us why it's not a good thing.
No, So here's the thing, and I don't mean to be harsh. And I was joking the last time I was on about Jess being added to the rivals list, but maybe I shouldn't have been. I know you're kidding. I know you're like now patronizing me and like trying to act like I missed it. I know you're kidding. It's very rare a conversation goes on that I don't kind of see everything that's happening in it. I am simply saying I think even the joking is tangibly bad 4-hour industry. So is Jessica individually bad for the industry?
No, you called her.
You
called
her
her
a doofus.
You did call her a doofus.
Yeah, name calling.
A
He's
rival.
right. Name caller.
Well, doofus is, I think, the kindest of the insults.
Okay.
Throw that on the poll.
All right.
What's the meanest?
Put it on the poll. No, thank you, Billy. Thanks for all your help there. Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Is doofus the kindest of the insults? So let me let you off on this note. I wanted to talk basketball. We'll talk a number of different things. But you are choosing, I believe this is where your ego gets the best of you, as it sometimes does for all of us. You are choosing to be right and resolute in your firm belief that Kansas City Chiefs team is so good that it would never think itself a lesser team to what it is that Philadelphia was, that if they played that game 100 times, you couldn't be so wrong that they would lose it 100 times. But what you're choosing is to tell me that Patrick Mahomes straight out choked. If the moment is too big for Patrick Mahomes, then it's too big for everybody. And I think you're taking the result to do that. I don't think you actually believe that.
No, so here's what I don't say anything I don't believe. Here's what I believe. I believe in that game, the mismatch, what played out, even though I don't think it's a on paper mismatch. The mismatch between their offensive line and the Chiefs' defensive line was going to win Philadelphia the game. Patrick playing his worst game in a couple years is what led it to be a blowout. And when you're saying if Patrick can't handle it, no one can handle it, that's why I brought up the 07 Patriots, is because every other team that has had the weight of a three-peat on their shoulders has crumbled, and every other one crumbled at a stage earlier than the Super Bowl. The closest a team ever came was the 99ers, who the third best player on their team on a very normal play just fumbled the ball with minutes left and they lost. That's how they lost. So that, I don't think it's an indictment on Patrick, but I do think it's the reality. And then every team that has gone for an undefeated season, except for Greg Cody's team, is 60 years ago.
How is that not?
Years ago, pardon me.
How is that not an indictment? You're saying that Patrick Mahomes choked. How is that not an indictment?
He's supposed to be different, Nick.
Well, hold on. He can be different than every other active quarterback and different than basically every other all-time quarterback and still not immune to any of this. I felt Brady choked in 07.
Okay, but you're saying flatly that your quarterback, your beloved quarterback, a champion, that his mental strength wasn't strong enough, not just for the pass rush, for the moment.
Yeah, I think the moment got to the entire team. I do.
But that's choking. You're saying, instead of saying you're wrong, you're saying your team choked.
No, hold on. Hold on. I am definitively wrong. I thought they would win. I thought they would win by 10. I am not running from being wrong about this football game. What I am saying is I don't look at individual one-off instances of the moment got to us as being an indictment of a player as a whole. The greatest athlete I've ever seen in my life, but choked in 2011. It doesn't at all change how I view him. Now, and so maybe I view it differently than others. Repeated choking is a totally different thing. And that's why you push back and I push back. I don't view this like I thought Patrick played well in the 2020 Super Bowl, and the stats don't back it up. The video does. That to me was not at all anything like this in any way, shape, or form. But it's not that I'm trying to slough blame onto them to save myself. I was the wrongest person in sports media about this game.
No, but Nick, I'm not talking about the game. I'm saying that to say that Patrick Mahomes choked in this spot was not mentally right for it isn't about this game. It's about your having to be wrong about what you think this team is.
No, right. And this is where I'm telling you, I disagree with your analysis of my analysis. I I do not think there is.
That's a great T-shirt. That is a great T-shirt. I disagree
with
your analysis of my analysis.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I do. And I haven't said the word choked. You keep throwing out choked.
Then what is what is the moment?
Insinuating.
Come on, Nick. You haven't said it because they're your team. And the moment's too big for them is saying it. Like you're just putting it in rose-colored homerism.
Oh, I reject that as well. The moment got too big for
That's
him.
choking. That is choking. That's the definition.
Maybe.
Say it, Nick. Just say it. You'll feel better. You'll feel better. Just say it.
How is that not what is the definition of choking?
Well, I don't. Jess, why don't you look that up? You're not doing anything right now.
Bane was going to make a really inappropriate joke, and he decided not to.
See you later. Nick, good seeing you. Every day, 3 to 5 Eastern.
Yeah, and so, hey, and subscribe to What's Driving the Great. And lastly, who should I apologize to, Tony or Jessica? I can't have them both against me.
The doofus.
I'm good. You don't have to apologize to me.
Yeah.
Okay, Jessica, I shouldn't have called you a doofus.
I don't want an apology from you.
Whoa.
We're enemies.
Rejected.
Wow.
Rivals.
No,
enemies.
Rivals.
Rivals.
Not enemies.
You're
You
right.
sons of bitches.
There's you and the choker. Hey.
This is unbelievable. Okay.